The king has come home to settle the crown. A young and determined fighter will look to create the upset of the decade in the sport of kickboxing. After a whirlwind year for Cookie Tariq Osaro, he will look to continue his unstoppable streak by stopping the long-reigning division king, Rico Verhoeven. After the fall of K1, Glory Kickboxing picked up the mantle of the premier kickboxing organization and centered their promotion around the muscle-bound Rico Verhoeven. For a decade, he has been at the center of glory and the face of kickboxing. Now, between age and injuries, the House of Rico may be about to fall. Welcome to Kick Weekly with Tim Wheaton. We are covering all the latest news and fights in the world of kickboxing. This week, upcoming has 4 marquee events that we will be discussing. Glory Collision 6, One Fight Night 16, BKFC Asia 5, and some karate combat as well. Folks, thank you for your time and thank you for joining me. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to the previews and what everyone wants to talk about. Let's get to the main event, Glory Collision 6. I've been so excited for this one for so long. As soon as it was announced, I had articles, I had videos out. We're going to have some representatives from CAF Kick Sports attending the event as well. So I am just so excited for this event. This is going to be live from the Helra Dome, November the 4th. Glory Collision 6 will have 3 title fights on it, including the light heavyweight title, the middleweight title, and in the main event, it will be the interim champion facing off against the undisputed heavyweight world champion, Rico Verhoeven. So let's talk a little bit about these two men. Rico Verhoeven has been at the center, the face of kickboxing for a decade, unbeaten for the last 10 years, and has more than 10 title wins in his Glory career. His most recent fight was his own promotion in Hit It, in which he defeated Hesdy Jurges, and throughout his career, he's beaten notable fighters such as Jamal Ben Sadiq, Badr Hari, Guto Innocente, people like Anderson Braddock Silva, Benjamin Adegbui, Errol Zimmerman, Peter Arts, and tons of others, even Gokhan Saki. He's beaten the old generation, he's beaten the current generation, and now this fight will be fighting for the next generation. So Rico Verhoeven, I think what you always see in his fights is that he's so tough because we see him getting hit and getting beat up a lot. All of his fights, from Badr Hari to Jamal Ben Sadiq to anyone else, you see him in the first round getting clobbered, getting smacked around, getting beat up. He's getting dropped, he's getting cut. The guy always gets hit, and he rallies back. And he always makes a really exciting fight because he rallies back and defeats his opponents as they fade throughout the fight. His cardio is always there, his toughness is always there. However, with age, what if that toughness begins to fade? Does he survive the first round just like he used to? Can he rally back in the second and third rounds just like he used to? With injuries, with age, these are the questions that we're now looking at with Rico Verhoeven. Cookie Tariq Osaro is just an incredible fighter who has had a marquee 2023, an unforgettable 2023. If he wins this fight, I mean, Fighter of the Year is locked up for him at that point, no doubt about it. Because at this point, he's won a one-night tournament, all by first-round knockout. He then defeated Antonio Plazabot via TKO after a 5-round clobbering. And that fight, he got the interim title. And then, now he gets his chance at Rico Verhoeven. If you are a person who is fighting Rico Verhoeven, now is the best time. He maybe is out of his prime. He had knee injuries. He had eye injuries before. He's got age. Cookie Tariq Osaro is training at Mike's gym, who has had some of the people who have always been fighting Rico in the past. So they've seen hours and hours of tape study on Rico. They know all of his tricks. They know exactly what he's going to bring to the ring. Honestly, in this fight, I think with how much Cookie has grown in the last year, with the incredible training team behind him, I am slightly leaning Cookie just due to Rico's age and injuries. But again, we might be entirely wrong. I am really putting a lot of stock into the injury and age narrative when it comes to Rico Verhoeven, but he might come out there and just be the same as he always is. He might be absolutely in his prime. He might be as strong as he always is. And I think there's a lot of, as one of my commenters was talking about yesterday, so I did a breakdown with Elanka Almont and Giovanni Chin. And one of my commenters, Jules Van Horn, hey, thank you so much. A big fan of yours as well. Appreciate your time. But this person was pointing out that a lot of the low kicks were landing when Levi Rigters was fighting Cookie Tariq Osaro. Now, Cookie Tariq really didn't have to worry about low kicks when he was fighting Antonio Plazabot. And that tournament, he won both fights in the first round, so the long-term damage from low kicks really didn't become a factor. Rico Verhoeven, all of his highlight reels really show him as a puncher, this clobbering giant with these massive punches. His primary game is setting everything up through low kicks and body kicks. It's the punches is the icing on top of the cake of the structure that he's built with his kicks. There are also a lot of things that Cookie Tariq habitually does not great, such as he has backed himself into the corner when he was fighting Antonio Plazabot. He did that round over round. First, second, and third round, he was doing that quite a bit. And Rico Verhoeven is a very good ring cutter, so he very likely will be able to get Cookie Tariq into a corner. It's still just a matter of durability, injuries, these sorts of things. I mean, this is such a high stakes fight with heavyweights. You never know how it's going to end. But yeah, I personally am just leaning a little bit towards Cookie. I love the story. I think one of the problems is that I'm just a fan of good stories, you know. I love his story coming into the glory. I love the journey that he's had in this kickboxing organization and him topping it all off by defeating Rico Verhoeven. Come on, who doesn't love that? It is absolutely awesome to see. So I'm picking Cookie in this matchup, but I'm willing to be wrong. I'm going to give it 51-49 towards Cookie Osaro here. Win or lose, I think Rico Verhoeven's legacy in kickboxing is entirely safe. It is entirely secure just due to how much work he's done in the past already with his multiple title defenses that are all exciting and fun fights. Even if he loses here, I don't think it tarnishes his legacy at all. He is one of the top 10 greatest kickboxers in history, wherever you rank him. Whether he's number 1 or number 10, he is certainly somewhere on that list. And with a loss at Glory Collision 6, that doesn't change. So I'm excited for it. I'm going to be watching live. You folks can buy it or watch it live, depending on where you are in the world. In the co-main event, Donegi Abena will be looking to make the first defense of his light heavyweight title. Originally, this was booked against Tariq Osaro. Now it is booked against Mohamed Touchassie. Let's talk a little bit about Donegi Abena before we get into this fight. So Donegi Abena was one of the youngest fighters in Glory history and had the opportunity to be their youngest champion way back when he faced Artem Vakitov in 2019. Since then, he has fought a who's who of these light heavyweight divisions, including Alex Pereira, Luis Tavares, and Sergey Masleboyev. In 2022, he was able to put it all together, defeat Felipe, and then he got revenge against Sergey Masleboyev and was able to capture the crown in 2023. And to put it all together, Alex Pereira was there to put the belt on him, so everything felt very nice. He was supposed to defend this title against Tariq Osaro at Glory Collision 5, but then got a stomach virus. And a lot of commenters online doubted that that was even the true story, and he faced tons of online harassment because of that. And some people also speculated that he wanted a better opponent than Tariq Osaro, and his team was trying to negotiate. We don't entirely know what is totally true and what the story is. We're hearing from some people that right there is the story, that he had a stomach virus and there's nothing more to it. I don't entirely know. From what he tells me, it was a stomach virus and they weren't able to compete. I don't entirely know why he would pretend to have a stomach virus before fighting Tariq Osaro. I think he can step into that fight no problem. So coming into this fight, it was meant to be Tariq Osaro, but instead Tariq got an injury at the last minute and they got Mohamed Touchassie to fill in. From what I understand with the Glory, they were talking to a few different people for this bout, including Mo Amine, Sergey Masleboyev, and Stefan Latuscu, and the welterweight Mohamed Touchassie stepped in. So if you don't know anything about Mohamed Touchassie, he is a very, very highly skilled welterweight fighter. He just made his Glory debut back at Glory just like recently. That was Glory 89. Yeah, that was just like last week. He won via knockout in the middleweight division, so now he will be stepping up to the light heavyweight division to challenge for a crown. He's only 22 years old, so with a win, he will have an opportunity to become the youngest champion in Glory history when he faces Donegi Abena. So Mohamed Touchassie is going to have a size disadvantage in this fight, given that he's only fought a middleweight once, and now he's stepping up to light heavyweight. However, interestingly enough, Touchassie will actually have a height advantage in this fight. Even though he's fought most of his career at welterweight at 170 pounds, he is actually taller than Donegi Abena. Pound for pound, Mohamed Touchassie is better than a lot of fighters out there in the world. He is a highly, highly skilled and dangerous fighter. It's just a matter of how does he handle the power and strength disadvantage going up in weight against someone as skilled as Donegi Abena. Abena was training with the Fury family to work on his hands, and it sounds like competing in boxing in the future may be his ultimate plans. Last year he was talking about doing some kickboxing and then switching to MMA, but now he's looking at boxing instead. Donegi Abena is the betting favorite in that one, and that's completely fair. It would be an incredible moment. It would be an incredible upset if Mohamed Touchassie can pull it off. I'm personally a little bit doubtful, but I would love the story. I would talk about that nonstop. The middleweight crown is on the line as Donovan Wisse is looking to make another defense of his crown against Michael Boapeah. Michael Boapeah came in, made his debut at a very young age. I think he was just like 21 years old or something like that when he made his Glory debut. Came in and defeated everyone via knockout. He has tons of power in his hands. And now he will be finally fighting for the title against Donovan Wisse. Michael Boapeah only just switched to full-time kickboxing. I think even in 2022, he was still working a job on the side, and now he's able to commit his full-time to kickboxing. So he's making big leaps and bounds in skills in between the fights that he's had in the last few years. It shows. He just keeps getting better and better and better, and he just has so much power in his hands. Donovan Wisse will be looking to make the third defense of his title. He's already defeated Serkan Ozkanglyan, Cesar Almeida, Yuri D'Souza, and Donovan Wisse is a very challenging fighter to fight against. He's so tactical. He is so safe. He is so highly skilled that if you just march forward, try to land punches, try to land kicks, he's seen it all before, and it just won't be enough. Donovan Wisse is just such a highly skilled fighter that I think for anyone in the middleweight division, it's going to be a challenge for him to beat. He's already beaten pretty much the entire top 10 at this point. He's beaten the top 5 just recently. After this bout, he's very likely going to beat Michael Boapeah. Just skill for skill, Donovan Wisse is almost like head and shoulders above the rest of the division. We were talking on the show yesterday. Make sure to check out the roundtable, by the way, if you haven't. It's on audio. It's on YouTube as well. But what to do with Donovan Wisse, it's not entirely clear because he doesn't want to go up in weight and fight Donegi Abena because they're both Surinamese background. But maybe if someone else is sitting on that light heavyweight throne, maybe he's willing to go up in weight. But it just sounds like he wants to hang out at middleweight and keep defending his title over and over again. And if that's what he wants to do, that's, hey, good for him. So you will get, those are the 3 main title fights at Glory Collision 6 booked for November the 4th. The stacked welterweight division in Glory is also coming together with this event. There are 4 fighters in welterweight competing on this card. You have Hamicha making his long-awaited debut. You have Hamicha making his long-awaited comeback fight against Diegli Kamara. Diegli Kamara has had a 2-fight win streak thus far in the welterweight division. A lot of people are very excited to see Hamicha back as he's such a knockout machine. He had a hand injury and then he had another injury, so he's been out for years at this point, but he's coming back and almost stepping right back into a title opportunity, according to his fans. The former title challenger, Jay Overmeer, will be fighting Chico Kwasi on this card. Chico Kwasi and Jay Overmeer fought a few years ago. Chico Kwasi was well up in that fight until a head kick knockdown in round 3 scored the bout for Jay Overmeer. Chico, in fact, requested this fight because he wants revenge for the 1 loss that he has in the last few years. He has a really impressive win streak. It's only interrupted by the 1 loss to Jay Overmeer. And then, according to Chico, he is next in line for the welterweight title. That title is currently held by Endi Semalir. There's also hanging out the winner of House of Glory. I forget the gentleman's name, but apparently he will get a title shot at welterweight. There's also the former title challenger Alim Nabiov at welterweight. So this division is cooking. There are no bad matchups to make. There's a really interesting 8 to 10 fighters in that division that you could pair up and do anything you want with, and it'll make really great action. Of course, Jamie Bates is there as well. Just had a child as well. Congratulations to him. I'd love to see him back in Glory Kickboxing here. The welterweight division is clearly a division that Glory has invested a lot of time into, and it's paying off. There's so many incredible fighters in that division that we want to see compete and potentially compete for a title in the next few years. Endi Semalir is a very skilled and dangerous fighter. And it's going to be a challenge for anyone to take the crown off of him. But either way, it's a stacked division. In the featherweight division, you have Abraham Vidalis versus Ahmed Sheikh Musa. It's going to be a banging fight. That's probably going to be the best fight on the card. In the middleweight division, you have Serkan Ozkanglyan versus Ulrich Bokemi. It's a knockout incoming. Absolutely awesome stuff. You also have in the light heavyweight division, Ibrahim El Benoui versus Stefan Latuscu. I always say, keep your eye on Stefan Latuscu. He's a young man with a ton of power. Really looking forward to seeing what he does next. Ibrahim El Benoui, very highly skilled, very dangerous fighter, has some of the best training partners in the world. But yeah, the winner of this fight, you might be seeing fighting for a title next in the light heavyweight division. So almost every fight on the Glory Collision 6 card has some meaning and has some weight behind it. And that is awesome to see. All these fights are going to matter. All these fights are important. I'm so excited for this card. Make sure to buy it. Make sure to check it out, folks. Also this weekend is Fight Night 16, which is booked for November the 3rd, but check your local listings. In part of the world, it is on November 4th. In the main event, the vacant Bantamweight kickboxing world title will be on the line. The MMA Bantamweight champion Fabricio Andrade will meet the Muay Thai world champion Jontahn Haggerty for the kickboxing crown. The lineage of this Bantamweight title in one championship starts with Aliverdi Ramazanov and then goes to Kapitan Pet Yindi Academy, and then it gets picked up by Hiroki Akamoto, who has a fight of the year, one of the best fights ever against Kapitan to take the title, one of my favorite fights to watch, and then it is taken by Pechnong Pechfergus. Pechnong Pechfergus, very highly skilled Muay Thai and kickboxing fighter, was stripped due to performance-enhancing drugs, which leaves the title vacant. The winner of this fight, I'm hoping, will be fighting Hiroki Akamoto next, as he is the former champion. No fights booked, and there aren't any other fights in the division. Like there's no rankings for this division, I don't think, and I don't think anyone has been actively fighting. So Hiroki Akamoto almost has to be next. But yes, let's get into Jontahn Haggerty versus Fabricio Andrade. Jontahn Haggerty, most known for his 2 fights with Rodtang, just captured the Bantamweight Muay Thai crown with a first-round knockout against all-time great Nongo Giingadao, or Nongo Hama, he just changed his name. Fabricio Andrade is a dangerous MMA fighter with a kickboxing background. He fought in Kunlun and WLF, and as one of my commenters pointed out a few weeks ago, he was very highly skilled in WLF when he was fighting in China. I checked out these fights, and yes, absolutely, my goodness, you can see how good he is. He is such a highly skilled kickboxer, and I should have given him more credit because it's so obvious. Like with his switch to MMA, he's such a dangerous, skilled striker who's so sharp. He's using all of his kickboxing tools in MMA to full effect. He's also spent the last decade training at Tiger Muay Thai. In one championship, he very quickly became a star because he won all of his fights by knockout. It was whether it was a body kick or a knee to the body or punches or whatever it was, he was finishing all of his opponents. He then destroyed John Lineker in a very fun little matchup until they entered in a no contest. He then destroyed John Lineker a second time, and it wasn't all that close. Watch the fights, you can see Fabricio Andrade is clearly the better fighter. So now we will do Fabricio Andrade versus Jontahn Haggerty in a kickboxing bout. Jontahn Haggerty, he is a Muay Thai fighter. He's never actually fought kickboxing before, which is a surprise. Most fighters switch back and forth, but he has been a through and through pure Muay Thai fighter for his entire career. There are some very dangerous tools in Muay Thai that he will be unable to use, like his very sharp elbows, but some of the best tools in his game, such as his combination punching and his teep kicks, will be there for him. All of the tools that Fabricio Andrade likes to use, like the knees to the body, the kicks to the body, and his punching combinations, all of those will be there for him. Originally, when this was announced, I was really leaning towards Jontahn Haggerty, but after going back and watching Fabricio Andrade fight in kickboxing, rewatching his fights with John Lineker, I think I'm leaning towards Fabricio Andrade in this one, and I'm publicly willing to be incorrect about this. I don't entirely know who's going to win, but I'm leaning towards Fabricio Andrade. There will also be a catchweight Muay Thai fight on this one featuring Seksan against Karim Benoui. Karim Benoui has been trading wins and losses for the past decade. He's a former It's Showtime kickboxing champion. He will take a Muay Thai fight against Seksan. Seksan's on the card to keep it hot, keep it busy, while he is a former Omnoy Stadium champion, which is the 3rd most important one. He is mainly just an action-packed fighter. Every fight he's in is one of the best fights of the year. You can see how many times he's won Fight of the Night bonuses, Performance of the Night bonuses, Stadium Fight of the Year awards for multiple fights. He is just an action-packed fighter every time out, and that's why one championship keeps booking him. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. Seksan is fighting, so you know we're going to all want to watch. Sinsumut Klimny was originally booked to face Liam Nolan for their second showdown. Liam Nolan is a training partner of Jontahn Haggerty and was looking to get revenge and then fight for a title in this division. Instead, Liam Nolan got injured. Sinsumut will fight Mushin Shafi instead. Sinsumut Klimny was a really fun action-packed fighter, made his debut in one championship a few years ago with a first-round knockout over Nikki Holskin. He then knocked out Liam Nolan in his next fight, and then he fought for the title against Rekian Ursel 2 times in 2 very fun, good fights, but Rekian Ursel proved that he was the better fighter in those bouts. He then knocked out Victor Teixeira, and now he's looking for another knockout against Mushin here. In the women's atomweight division, a kickboxing showdown between Spain's Cristina Morales will fight Supergirl Jarunsak. Supergirl Jarunsak picked up some regional and national Muay Thai titles when she was an amateur, made her debut in one championship, and has been a very popular fighter ever since. Cristina Morales was an Infusion champion. She was an ISCA champion as well, but she is winless in one championship at this point, with one loss against Anissa Meksen. Speaking of women's atomweight kickboxing and Anissa Meksen is finally back. She will be fighting the Muay Thai knockout queen Fet Jija on December the 22nd for an interim kickboxing world title. The winner of this fight will then fight for the undisputed crown against Janet Todd sometime in 2024. It is awesome to see. Great to see more kickboxing bouts. I'm so excited for this women's atomweight kickboxing division, which is cooking up. Stamp Fairtex has also said she's looking at the kickboxing and Muay Thai crowns again. I mean, there's so much great action in these divisions. I'm so excited, but Anissa Meksen is back. Amazing. So pumped for this. Kicking off the One Fight Night 16 card will be Jeremy Miadow versus Lito Adewang. It's going to be an action-packed fight. Expecting a first-round knockout there. Both guys are action-packed, going to be a fun one. That is an MMA fight, but I just wanted to mention it because I'm a big fan of both of those guys. Live from Thailand on November the 4th, BKFC Asia 5 will present Buakaw versus Saenchai in the main event. This will be a bare-knuckle Muay Thai fight with some adjusted rules. These will be 5 2-minute rounds. If it is scored a draw, they can go to an extension round. Clinching is allowed, but only for 3 seconds at most, and action must be happening the entire time in the clinch. There will be no trips or sweeps allowed. Otherwise, it is quite standard Muay Thai rules. And I believe they're meeting at 68.5 kilograms. Last time I checked, that was still accurate. I don't think they've changed that at this point. But let's introduce these two men. Buakaw is an all-time great in kickboxing. He is a legendary figure in Thailand, one of the most popular fighters in history. His name still gets more clicks than anyone else, regardless of his age or his win-loss record for the last few years. Certainly on the other side of his career and fighting for money. After this fight, he'll have one more in RWS, and then he'll fight Manny Pacquiao next year in a boxing match. And then I imagine he just keeps going, whether or not he wants to do kickboxing, Muay Thai, or boxing. I think he just keeps going after this fight. But this weekend, he will be fighting Saenchai. Saenchai is a Muay Thai legend, one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters to ever live. He's picked up so many different titles in this sport, but his legendary status was really cemented over the last decade. He retired from active Muay Thai competition against Thai fighters and then only fought foreign fighters. He will frequently fight foreign fighters in which he has a size disadvantage against, just to show off his skills. All those cool things you see, whether it's a cartwheel kick or him doing all these other fancy things, these are him flexing on foreign fighters, and this cemented what a legend he is. These are the highlight reels we continuously see from Saenchai. So now Saenchai will go up in weight slightly, Buakaw will go down in weight slightly, and they will meet in the middle in BKFC. So this is a BKFC event. Typically BKFC is just boxing. Bare knuckle has a history in both Muay Thai and boxing. This isn't too outlandish. This isn't too insane. Both men are being paid handsomely for this fight. And it should be a ton of fun. I'm going to tune in live for this one. It'll be a very, very fun fight. And I'm hoping to see more bare knuckle Muay Thai put on with BKFC. Talking about BKFC Asia or BKFC in the US, I think bare knuckle Muay Thai would be more exciting than bare knuckle boxing. Tell me when I'm wrong here. Stop me when I'm wrong here, okay? Also at BKFC Asia 5, there's a few other fighters I do recognize, and I'll do my best to bring you guys up to date on what I know here. But the women's strawweight title will be on the line as Fanny Palumpi will look to defend her crown against Po Denman. Po Denman is a Thai fighter who has a ton of knockout power. I believe she picked up some national amateur titles, but it's really her knockout power that makes her so notable. She defeated Ty Emery in her last bout, but I believe Po Denman also had fought men and defeated them via knockout as well. Frankie Suriasang will be fighting on the card as well. He has professional boxing experience and professional Muay Thai experience as well. The Joker, Jomil Miadow, will also be fighting, and he is the brother of Jeremy Miadow, who's going to be fighting Lito Adewang at One Fight Night 16. So these two are both fighting in Bangkok on the same day, and they are fighting brothers. Otherwise, on BKFC Asia 5, I don't recognize a ton. I wouldn't make stuff up and just say, oh, this is guy, this is that guy. That's pretty much everything I know about this card. But yeah, Saenchai versus Buakaw is certainly a fight that you need to watch. It's going to be a really fun fight. I'm looking forward to it. You have Buakaw, who has a history in Muay Thai, but really made his bones in kickboxing, now coming into a Muay Thai bout against an all-time legend. Like Saenchai, regardless of where he's ranked, he is somewhere on the all-time list due to how many titles he picked up in Muay Thai. And now he's just making his late career, his post-retirement career, a ton of fun. Fighting foreign fighters he didn't want. This is actually the first Thai fighter he's fought in like a decade. And it's going to be a ton of fun to see them throw down in BKFC. I know a lot of people have talked about like, oh, these two are friends. They've trained together. They go for dinner together. Yeah, these things are all true, but they were offered a friendly exhibition bout and they declined that and said, we're going to try to knock each other out in there. So it's going to be a fun one. It is going to be a very fun event. Also this weekend, Karate Combat will be putting 2 titles on the line as Louis Hosha looks to defeat Edgar Scrivers in a trilogy matchup and defend his crown. There will also be a women's strawweight title being introduced as Stephanie Oliveira looks to defeat Christina Kavakapolu. Tons of other great fights on the Karate Combat card. Also some major news coming out that I missed last week. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, Mac. I know, I'm sorry. Now I'm getting to it. But the Karate Combat president had stepped down. I would love some other people to share their insights about what they think this means, or Karate Combat to go ahead and tell me. You guys have my number. Tell me what this means and what you guys are imagining for the future. Is this going to be a change? Is this going to be an adjustment? Is this going to be a change of direction? What's next for the organization? The Karate Combat president and I had a really, really great conversation just a few months ago. You can check that out. We talked for an hour about K1 Max and karate and Kyokushin and all this different stuff. It was one of the best interviews that I have, so I'm wishing him all the best in his future endeavors. Also in Karate Combat, upcoming here on December 15th, the main event of Karate Combat 43, 2 former UFC champions, Anthony Pettis and Benson Henderson, will meet once again. These two met first in the WEC and had one of the best fights in MMA history. That then they were fighting for a WEC crown, and the next time they fought was for a UFC crown, and Anthony Pettis was able to win via first-round submission, and now these two will face off in Karate Combat. Should be a fun fight. I mean, these two were always such action-packed fighters in MMA. Benson Henderson was often called the most exciting fighter in MMA, with his bouts against like a prime Donald Cerrone or Gilbert Melendez or Nate Diaz or Frankie Edgar. Josh Thompson, another amazing fight. He can only win or lose by split decision. Benson Henderson was such an exciting fighter. And of course, Anthony Pettis, one of the all-stars of MMA. This guy was on the Wheaties box and he was such a cool fighter as well. But yeah, now they'll be fighting in Karate Combat, and that is upcoming here live from Vegas on December 15th. Folks, that is it for the kickboxing world. I'm so excited for this weekend of fights. We have Glory Collision, we have a One Championship, we have BKFC, and we have Karate Combat as well. Make sure to check them all out. They're all going to be a ton of fun to watch. My name's Tim Wheaton. Make sure to my name's Tim Wheaton. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell me what you think. Tell me your thoughts. Just find out where I was incorrect, and I'll correct it next week. If you have any questions or thoughts or predictions, please let me know in the comments, and I'll talk about them next week. Folks, I hugely appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Talk to y'all soon.